Wow, that's during a deposition.
Yeah, I guess practically. It's not.
We call our Tuesday, August 1st City Council meeting to order. We have Pledge of Allegiance and invocation by Councilman Hester.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray. Oh, gracious, our wise, true, living God. We thank you for this day. We thank you for your grace, your mercy. And we pray this meeting may be conducted decently in order. We give thy name the praise, honor, and the glory. For in Jesus' name we pray and answer it all. Amen.
Amen. We have no special presentations today. Can I get approval on the minutes? Okay, minutes stand without objection. Madam Clerk, if you can read ordinances under final reading, item A.
An ordinance amending Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 2, Article 3, Division 5, Fire and Police Pension Fund, Section 2, 406, Board of Trustees of Pension Fund, Membership, Term of Office, Vacancies, and Section 2, 407, Organization, Officers, Compensation of President and Secretary.
All right, Councilwoman Burrs, followed by Councilman Hester. Move approval. Councilman Hester?
On behalf of the chair, I need to defer 2023-0085.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, we're on the legal ordinance, final reading, A.
Final reading. Oh.
Yeah. So second, okay, we've received a
Second,
motion and proper
second.
second. Any comments or questions? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Now, ordinance on the first reading, item A.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 38, zoning ordinance, so as to rezone an unaddressed property located in the 2800 block of Dodge Avenue from M1 Manufacturing Zone to UGC Urban General Commercial Zone, subject to certain conditions.
All right, is the applicant present? Right. Is there any opposition present? All right, thank you so much. With that one, I do not need a presentation. And can I get a motion?
Now, let me defer this till September 12th, please.
Second.
Okay, see the motion is second to defer until September the 12th. Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Thank you so much, Councilman Hester. Madam Clerk, item B.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 38, zoning ordinance, so as to rezone property located at 1013 South Greenwood Avenue from R1 residential zone to UGC Urban General Commercial Zone, subject to certain conditions.
Okay, is there an applicant present? All right, any opposition present? Councilwoman Knoll.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I would like for the conditions to be read, please.
Sure. Yes, ma'am. The alternate version, 57 conditions, would be for residential use only, 4 townhouse units max, 2-story height maximum. South Greenwood would have the primary streets facing the entry door. South Greenwood would have at least a 10-foot setback, and Bennett would have a 7-foot setback minimum. And those were the applicant revised proposed conditions that we've been given.
Thank you, Mr. Attorney. So with those conditions, I move to approve.
Okay, I have a motion and proper second. Any comments or questions? All in favor? All opposed? Motion passes. Madam Clerk, item C.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 38 zoning ordinance so as to rezone properties located at 2706 Dodge Avenue, 2767 East 28th Street, and an unaddressed parcel in the 2700 block of East 28th Street from R1 Residential Zone to RTZ Residential Townhouse Zero Lot Line Zone.
All right, is the applicant present? All right, any opposition present? All right, Councilwoman Coonrod? Okay, it's been motioned and properly second. Any comments or questions? All in favor? All opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Under police, item D.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 16, Section 1659 through 1666, relative to the Police Advisory and Review Committee by instituting a moratorium on the application of Section 1659 through 1666 of City Code for a period beginning immediately from the effective date of this ordinance up to and including October 29, 2023.
Councilman Henderson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There was a lot of discussion earlier about this ordinance, and I think there was some questions swirling around the 128 days that they could continue to operate. It's not that they can operate for 128 days without being in compliance. It's state law now. They're subject to open meetings. In fact, the state law says that you cannot hear cases on the front end, you have to hear them on the back end. So I think we would be putting them in a position that would be less than desirable to ask them to do something that's in opposition to state law. I'm not sure, and from what I heard the chief say, her fear was that they would be operating outside the bounds of the law, which quite frankly wouldn't be a good look, I don't think, for an advisory committee that's has oversight of the police. So, Madam Chair, I'm going to move to approve this moratorium until October the 29th.
All right, it's been moved and properly second. Any comments or questions? All right, we have been asked for a roll call vote. I'm sorry, Councilman Smith. I apologize. Oh, go ahead, Councilman Smith.
Okay, thank you. Sorry about that. I had a light earlier. We did have a lot of conversation on this earlier, and I personally don't feel like I did one thing that I needed to. The members of Park that are currently here that have either remained after all afternoon of your own time, would you raise your hands, please? So we have two of you that are still here, or is that it? Okay. Those of you on Park, raise your hand. It's all good. Listen, you should have been here this afternoon. Thank you very much for all of your time, all of your service, and for everything that you had to say and your dedication to this mission. The disagreement of the ordinance before us by members of this body only goes to support the work that you do that has been proven. It has nothing to do with the intent of the ordinance and to allow the chief and other processes to continue. It really is more of an opposition vote to the state legislation that is and has taken effect. So while I agree with all of my colleagues that we have created something very special in this board and it operates very well, and I've not heard from a single person in the police department, on Park, or the community that says otherwise, is a testament to all the work that you all have done over a very long period of time, because it was incredibly contentious to put this into effect. We received a tremendous amount of criticism. We received a tremendous amount of concern from a lot of different people, including officers in the police department. None of that exists today because of the great work that you all do. And I don't want that to go unsaid. My support of this ordinance before us this evening is not in opposition to the work you do. It is simply we don't have a choice. State law is already in effect. The moratorium is simply to give us an opportunity to recreate the board in a way that can continue to function, but it can't function today by state law. So not passing this does nothing but hinder our chief's ability to move forward without violating a city ordinance, which says that cases must be heard by Park. So I asked a question earlier, and I think it's very poignant, and I'm going to ask it again. If those of you that are here in Park, if this does not pass, and we try to conduct business as usual, meaning you hear cases ahead of time, you hear cases without them being public meeting, and operate the way we have in past meetings, are there any of you willing to continue that way in personally violating state law? So not passing this does no good. It puts our park board in a situation of not doing and not following through with the incredible work that they've been doing. And I think it would be incredibly unjust and unfair to put them in that position. But let me reiterate, support of this ordinance tonight is not supporting the state legislation that has taken away the incredible work and ability of the members of our park committee. And thank you so much for all of the work that you do. And I hope that somehow in this moratorium phase that we can work to put this board back together in the fashion that it is, so that it can remain functional, it can remain a very valuable piece of the process that our police department and our chief has been committed to continue. And I know that I will be working on it as best I can, and I have a feeling that all my colleagues will as well. So with that, Madam Chair, I did second. I will be supporting this evening, but I will not be supporting it because of the state legislation. I will be supporting it because we have no choice, and I will not put our police chief and our park board in a position of violating state law in order to continue to do what we've asked them to do. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Councilman Smith and Councilwoman Burrs.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I take a little different view than my esteemed colleague. I respect everything he said. I'm going to vote against this, and the reason I'm going to vote against it is I don't want to place moratorium on them. I want them to have the freedom to decide whether or not they think they can go forward, not as they were, because there's been a right taken away from them, and that is the right to discuss things or understand things in private. So rather than my taking that right away from them, I would prefer that they decide they can't do their role justice, and I would respect that. Thank you, Madam Chair.
All right, thank you, Councilman Burrs. Councilman Henderson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I do want to follow up. I agree with the fact of letting them decide. But I think as they've indicated tonight, the majority of them would not hear cases. And what that would do is put the chief in a bad situation in the fact that they do have 40 cases that they do need to hear. And it will create even more of a backlog. So I don't feel like we're taking away their right to decide whether they want to operate, because if they choose not to operate, and they very well may, then those cases that are already pending that need to be heard will just continue to pile up and not be heard. And it really puts our chief in a bad situation if we don't pass this tonight. And that's really what this is about, is putting a pause on the ordinance that requires Park to be involved on the front end and saying, okay, we're going to pause that so that the chief can go ahead and take care of the business that needs to be taken care of. So I just want to make sure that we understand the predicament that we're putting the chief in if we don't pass this tonight. Thank you, Madam Chair.
All right, thank you. Madam Vice Chair Hill.
Thank you, Chairwoman. In this conversation about state preemption, I think that it would make a much stronger statement for the park board to say publicly, we are no longer able to do our job and therefore we have to disband ourselves, than for us to have a very safe procedural vote to say, we're going to go ahead and pause on it so that we can create something that has been said in our previous meeting is an impotent paper tiger that is legislated in such a way that it is intended to be ineffective. And a pat on the head to our communities who have said, we deserve to have a voice in public safety because it is for the public. That's all. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Madam Vice Chair. Councilwoman Burrs.
Just one more comment. I agree with my colleague that it makes the park board much more powerful to speak up for themselves. And if they say they cannot do a proper job because of the new law, I will respect that. Then the chief knows that she can go forward without. So, and I did not see a majority of the park board vote, except that's up to them. So I'm giving them the right to vote. I'm not going to be paternal or maternalistic and take the right away from them. I think they're too important to that. In no way, if they say, we can't do a proper job doing this, we need to disband ourselves or become inactive or declare our own moratorium, the chief is in no way hampered by law to go forward. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
All right, thank you. Councilman Henderson.
I'm going to respectfully disagree that it won't hamper the chief. It's in our ordinance that it has to go to Park first. So if Park disbands and they say we're not going to meet anymore, the chief cannot go forward, and it will hamper the chief in hearing any cases until the point that we get Park back in compliance. So up until the point that we come back into compliance, the chief, correct me if I'm wrong, you will not be able to hear any complaints that's brought against an officer. Is that correct? If Park's not involved, your process stops, correct?
It does put me in a dilemma if we don't pause the city ordinance at this point. It puts me in a dilemma of, I'm supposed to, but I'm not supposed to at the same time, if that makes any sense. So according to the ordinance, I would have to carry forth with that. And, it goes through Park first. But then the state law says, that it's contradictory if we keep it the way it is right now, is my point. And I'm not, it puts me in a position of breaking a law, whether it be from the municipal level or from the state level. And I don't want to do that. So I'm not in any way swaying anybody's decision. All I'm simply saying is that, Park, if you all decide as a group to, use your voice to say, I disband on my own, and then we're still in the spot where, with this being said, I don't know what that looks like from a legal standpoint. If I now have to hold on to them till we create another park, I don't know what that looks like. But I just hope that we can come to some finality tonight, so that I have a clear vision, in which direction to move my department, and it doesn't put me in any way in a spot about which way I need to go. Ultimately, I get the state law overrides, but at the end of the day, it still sends a conflicting message if we don't make a decision tonight with the ordinance.
All right, Councilman.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
All right.
I'm ready to vote.
All right, any other comments or questions? All right. No, I'm sorry, this is our meeting, so you have to wait till our comment period. Yes, all right. What is that? No, this is our regular meeting, so we don't have, you all can speak at the end of the meeting. All right, in addition to comments or questions from council. All right, with that, we did request there was a roll call vote requested. Madam Clerk, if you could.
Councilman Henderson? Yes. Councilman Smith?
Yes.
Councilman Hester?
Yes.
Councilwoman Burrs? Councilwoman Knoll?
Yes.
Councilwoman Coonrod? Vice Chair Hill?
No.
Chair Dottley?
Yes.
That's 5 yeses.
Okay, 5 yeses, motion passes. All right, very heated discussion. Now, moving on to resolutions. Madam Clerk, item A.
Initial resolution authorizing the issuance of not to exceed 46 million general obligation bonds of the city of Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Okay, council, Councilwoman Burrs.
Move approval?
Okay, I have a motion. Okay, it's been motioned and properly second. Any comments or questions? All in favor? Aye. Okay, all opposed? Motion passes. Madam Clerk, item B.
A resolution to amend resolution number 30813 for the Chattanooga Fire Department to amend the supplemental fire services agreement with the Tri-Community Volunteer Fire Department, Inc. to correct the third-year quarterly amount to reflect $39,716, keeping the correct total annual amount for the third-year quarter as $158,864.
Okay, Councilman Henderson.
Move approval.
I have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All in favor? All opposed? Motion passes. If there's no objection from council, we'll take up items C, D, and E as a group. Madam Clerk?
Item C, a resolution confirming Mayor Kelly's appointment of Brenda Nunn, District 3, to the Beer and Record Board with a term beginning on August 2, 2023, and ending on August 1, 2026. Item D, a resolution confirming Mayor Kelly's reappointment of Dan Mayfield, District 4, to the Beer and Record Board with a term beginning on August 2, 2023, and ending on August 1, 2026. Item E, a resolution confirming Mayor Kelly's appointment of Christy Morris, District 5, to the Beer and Record Board with a term beginning on August 2, 2023, and ending on August 1, 2026.
All right, council? Okay. I have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All in favor? All opposed? Motion passes. We'll take items F and G as a group if there's no objection. Madam Clerk?
Item F, a resolution authorizing the appointment of Tara Ellis as Special Police Officer unarmed for the City of Chattanooga Public Works Department, Land Development Office to do special duty as prescribed herein in the position of Building Inspector subject to certain conditions. Item G, a resolution amending resolution number 31303 to increase the estimated amount of $400,000 due to additional contract utilization for the on-call demolition services blanket contract number D22002-201 with Tower Construction LLC for a revised estimated amount of $650,000.
Okay, council? Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second? All right, it's been moved and properly second. Any comments or questions? All in favor? All opposed? Motion passes. We'll take items H and I as a group.
Item H, a resolution authorizing the administrator for the Department of Wastewater to accept the competitive American Rescue Plan grant from the Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation State Water Infrastructure Investment Program for the wastewater capital project number W17016 Moccasin Bend Environmental Campus Water Use and Reuse Project for a total amount not to exceed $5 million. Item I, a resolution authorizing the administrator for the wastewater department to award contract number W19026-201 pump station safety improvements to J.S. Herring Construction Company, Inc. of Etowah, Tennessee for pump station improvements and upgrades at Brainerd Golf Course, Murray Hills, Brainerd Manor, Hickson 2, and Central Avenue in the amount of $15,538,000 with a contingency in the amount of $1,553,800 for a total amount of $17,091,800.
Right, council?
Move to approve.
Okay, I have a motion and proper second. Any comments or questions? All in favor? All opposed? Motion passes. Now we've come to purchases.
Good evening. We have 8 purchases recommended for approval this evening. The first is from wastewater. This is a new blanket contract for Flutwig centrifuge parts, repairs, and reconditioning services. This will be a 4-year agreement not to exceed $800,000 per year. The award will go to Franzenberg LLC as the best bid for the city of Chattanooga. The low bidder did not bid all line items. Next, from wastewater, this is a blanket contract for electrical services citywide. This will be a 4-year agreement not to exceed $6 million per year. The award will go to Admin Electric, Nabco Electric, and Tri-State Electrical as the best bids for the city of Chattanooga. From the Fleet Management Division of Public Works, this is a request for an increase of $100,000 per year on an existing contract with East Ridge Fast Loop due to an unexpected volume of usage on the contract. This will make the new total estimated annual spend amount to $250,000. Next, from Fleet Management Division of Public Works, this is a one-time purchase in the amount of $27,468 of one 2023 Toyota Camry for CPD. This purchase will be utilizing the State of Tennessee contract number SWC 209-76657. Next, from the Street Maintenance Division of Public Works, this is a request for an increase of $120,000 per year on an existing contract with CWS Chattanooga Hauling due to additional locations requiring service. This will make the new total estimated annual spend amount $370,000. Next, from the Chattanooga Police Department, this is a one-time purchase in the amount of $116,074.42 for portable X-ray machines for use by the Chattanooga Police Department for bomb detection. The low bidder, Scana MSC Inc., did not meet specifications for this procurement. The award will go to Logos Imaging LLC as the best bid for the city of Chattanooga. Next, from finance, this is a request for an increase of $3,470.70 to cover outstanding invoices for Robert Half Temp Employment Services for accounts payable techs 6/21/22 and 9/6/22 for total spend of $113,470.70. Last, from Department of Parks and Outdoors, this is a request for an increase of $85,000 on an existing contract with Excellent Lawn Care for grounds maintenance for city parks due to additional locations being added, along with an increase in rates for service. This will make the new total estimated annual spend amount to $105,000.
All right, council, you've heard purchases.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and properly second. Any comments or questions? All in favor? All opposed? Motion passes. Now we come to the time of committee reports, but before I do that, are there any board appointees here this evening? Oh, I'm sorry, Brooke, you got emergency purchase.
We do.
I'm just ready to go.
Sorry, I will make it quick. So for emergency purchases, last week, the oxygen plant at Moxon Bend experienced an unexpected shutdown, and our contracted liquid oxygen suppliers were unable to provide sufficient oxygen necessary for the treatment of wastewater, as well as the necessary liquid oxygen to bring the oxygen plant back into operation. Because of this, we had 4 emergency purchases of liquid oxygen for the wastewater department. First is an emergency purchase of $120,000 from Air Products. This purchase includes delivery fees and a tech visit, as well as liquid oxygen. The second is an emergency purchase of $25,000 to Sidney Lee Welding Supply. This is a second request for this issue for an additional vendor due to issues with timing of inspection by Air Products. The third is an emergency purchase of $10,000 to Next Air for liquid oxygen. And the fourth is an emergency purchase of $80,000 to Lind for liquid oxygen. And that is it.
That's it, Brooke. Okay, thank you so much. Now back to what I was saying. Are there any board appointees here this evening? If you raise your hand or stand. Thank you so much, Christy, for being here. We appreciate you and your service and time to the city. Thank you. Thank you so much. We come to the time of committee reports. Councilwoman Coonrod. Okay, Councilwoman Knoll.
No report.
Councilwoman Burrs.
No report.
Councilman Henderson.
Well, Madam Chair, you might have heard we had a Public Safety
Yeah,
Committee
yeah.
meeting this afternoon where we discussed the current state law and how it affects it applies to our park committee. And I want to echo Councilman Smith's appreciation of our park board and committee. You know, I appreciate some of the things that were said earlier today as they operate as a group. not just a committee. And I think that's one of the real meaningful things about this group is they can, and I've heard they can disagree, but they can do it agreeably and still come out of there hugging each other's neck. And I think that's what makes them a special group. But we will be discussing more about how the park committee will be formed at a later date.
All right. Thank you so much, Councilman Henderson. Councilman Smith.
Madam Chair, I have no legislative committee announcement, but I was fortunate enough to be able to chair our planning and zoning meeting today. We went over the cases that we heard this evening and those that we will be hearing next week. No further report.
All right, thank you. Councilman Hester?
No report.
All right, and I believe our Chief of Staff had a quick announcement he wanted to make.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to remind everyone that Mayor Kelly's State of the City address will be this Thursday at 6 p.m. at the Walker Theater, which is inside the Memorial Auditorium. Thank you, Madam Chair.
All right, thank you so much. Now comes to the point of persons who want to address the council. If you would like to address the council, please line up behind this podium here. And Phil, if you can give us the rules.
At the end of each council business meeting, the chair will recognize members of the public who wish to address the council, and here's your rules. Each speaker wishing to address the council should come up front and be recognized at the microphone, which is provided for that purpose. You can't have more than 3 minutes to speak and address the council only upon matters within their legislative and quasi-judicial authority and not on matters which are not under their authority or regulated by other governmental bodies or agencies. Don't engage in vulgar or obscene language nor use the floor to personally attack or personally denigrate others, and address the council as a whole and not make comments directed towards individual council members. And please don't engage in any disorderly conduct or disrupting a public meeting, which is prohibited by Tennessee law. Someone commits that offense if a person substantially obstructs or interferes with the meeting by physical action or verbal utterance with the intent to prevent or disrupt a lawful meeting or gathering. If you would, please go ahead, sir. Thank you.
Sylvester Harris, 3300 Curtis Street. One of the things, I got two things to address. One of them is about the Police Advisory Board. And what I want people to understand, that's the scale that we tried to create was balanced. It's not just what we do for the person that files reports. We also look out for that officer too. If he's in the right, we're gonna back him up. We got people that on that board that does the right thing. Once we got a unity with the police department, and they felt that they wasn't threatened by this committee, you know, things went real good. And I want the officers to know they need to push for this, because if you're not in the wrong and you're doing the right thing, you know, you're gonna get treated right on the board. That's just the way I believe in. I believe they need a voice just like the citizens need a voice. If a person didn't do the right thing, then that officer is in the right, he's gonna get treated in the right. But when I see an officer a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more having problems, then we try to address that. Plus we try to make sure not get a person's job. We'll go and say, hey, you know, get them a little bit more training, get them some kind of help. Because you give an officer not enough pay to do a job he's gotta be a doctor, a lawyer, everything else, and decide stuff between folks, and that's hard on a person. And I give him all the shot he can, you know, that he deserves. But another problem I'm having is in East Chattanooga. We got the Harriet Tuckman site that used to be a housing project, and it's just sitting there, just good land, flat. They'll build on cliffs and everything, but they won't come out to East Chattanooga. East Chattanooga is not a bad place. It's good people out there. I'm out there, and I claim to be a good person. So, you know, we need help out there. I want the council to help us. You know, some of the council people came to our aid when I used to come to the meetings. I'm finna start coming back. I've been lacking, but I'll be back. But, you know, we need help out there. Join together and help us out in East Chattanooga. And I ain't talking about bringing no foundry out there, no chemical plant. And I don't mean this in a bad way. Low income. We got to bring the income back. We got to let young black and white kids see that East Chattanooga can have a nice subdivisions and houses and stuff like that. And the only way to do that is get our tax base back. We can get our schools back. I don't understand why we don't control our own destiny in the city, but That's another story to be talked about. And I would like one day to get the other 2 minutes back that we lost a while back, because 3 minutes just not enough to talk. And I've been gone a while, and I got a lot to talk about.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you,
And I
Mr.
appreciate
Harris.
everything y'all done, and especially the council people that
Thank
helped
you,
me
Mr.
out
Harris.
years ago in East Chattanooga.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Harris.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One of those and pass it down. Good evening, council.
Good evening.
My name is Justin Turson with Chattanooga Neighborhood Enterprise, 1500 Chestnut Street. First off, I want to say thank you for the support that this council and this administration has continued to give to C&E. Many people know C&E for our homebuyer education and counseling, for our down payment assistance, our home improvement loans, and for our workforce affordable housing. But we also believe the future of Chattanooga is rooted in the vibrancy of all our neighborhoods and the prosperity of all our people. This means that just as important as the house is the neighborhood it is in as well. C&E works in and with neighborhoods to build leaders, nurture desired changes, and support the community. Recently, several of the neighborhoods we worked in brought to us a conversation about food deserts. Food deserts is an area or a neighborhood that has a lack of access to fresh food, fresh produce, and certain foods. So in that ask, we went ahead and did a small mapping exercise of the areas that we work in East Chattanooga, and identified that some are truly food deserts, and some are ones that are simply food deserts out of unknown access. One of the things that we identified that is in several of these areas, there are local bodegas and tiendas that a lot of the neighbors are just not familiar with. And so through that, we have helped identify how to get local food, local produce, local fresh food in your community that you can easily get to. And the next step of that is we have been taking neighbors on what we call tienda tours. We take the neighbors into these different bodegas and tiendas. We invite the owners to get to know the people so they can understand who speaks what languages here. Will they take EBT? What type of food do they serve? So the next step is that we will be reaching out to our two wonderful council women, Noelle and Demetrius Coonrod, about joining us on these, but I also wanted to extend the invitation to any of you. If you ever wanted to come out, we will be sending out notice as to when we'll be taking some neighbors on the next tienda tours. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Bell.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair. Let me first start by saying congratulations to my favorite council representative on her marriage. I heard that you're getting married, and I want to send my congratulations to you, Councilwoman Coonrod. Tonight, let's go back to June the 21st of last year when The Voice, Monty Bell, the homeless journalist, the gray-haired fox, the man with the billion-dollar voice, now a new address, 625 Georgia Avenue, Chattanooga, Tennessee, 37402. It used to be called the County Courthouse. Now it's called the House of Monty Bell. That's due to what's called a deed poll, when persons in the administration of the court is obligated to Monty Bell, the homeless journalist, the gray-haired fox, the man with the billion-dollar voice. $211,034 million will be granted to Monty Bell. On June the 21st of last year, one of the most embarrassing things could happen to a television person is to make the news. What's more embarrassing is to find out who did it. Not since the Dred Scott case has a black man been denied, as Monty Bell has been denied in docket number 19C-1049, docket number 19C-1113. It's a case against a former Daily Press editor by the name of David Toulis, who I knew many years before he ever appeared here at the city council with an assistant or an associate by the name of Marie Mott, who I asked you all to stop them from coming here harassing persons addressing the city council. This is there, and when I say there, you've got a copy, I passed it out to the chair, the failing grades. docket number 19C 1049, docket number 19C 1113. The same case with two docket numbers. The case went into default long before 173 entries were made. I've got a special master, and that's the wrong word to use against Monty Bell at any time, any place, anywhere. I do not have a master of any kind in the life of Monty Bell. It's good for you all to find this Jenny Parker. It's a request. Now, here's what you all sent. There's 5. You failed in them all. You have a copy of the 2 failing papers, one from the city attorney's office, one is from the Hamilton County attorney.
All right. All right, thank you, Mr. Bell.
Thank you.
All right, council, I don't see anyone else wishing to address the council. Meeting adjourned. Meeting adjourned. Listen, we making it.